I gave 1,000% to make that possible. 1,000%. My heart cried out for her to do that. Okay, I gave it 1,000%. And you're saying, oh, well, just keep doing it. Okay, I gave it that. Okay, I gave it 1,000%. And yes, that's intensity because I've been through 30 years of being neglected. And I tried and tried and cried and prayed. Okay, this isn't, you're not scared of me.
Welcome, dear brothers and sisters in Christ. Today's episode brings you something unsettling from behind the scenes at Daystar TV. We've received real audio from a closed-door meeting on May 5th, 2023. In this session, Jonathan Lamb, Marcus and Joni Lamb's son, met with Doug Weiss and Pastor Jimmy Evans. The mood extremely tense. Jonathan wasn't throwing softballs. He was pressing Doug, searching for transparency about a major issue. Did Doug have biblical justification to divorce his wife and then marry Joni Lamb, Jonathan's own mother? Imagine that. Jonathan questioning the man who now holds his father's position in both ministry and family, and Pastor Jimmy Evans was present, attempting to mediate the tense dialogue. This is deeper than drama. It's about responsibility. It's about ensuring Christian leaders embody the same principles they preach. Jonathan's questions, they mirror what many of us would ask if given the chance. So if you've ever wondered what lies beneath the surface of these influential ministries, this one's for you. We're about to hear that raw conversation. Here it is.
On Daystar, and you publicly affirmed their relationship as being of the Lord. Can you do that in good conscience without having talking to Lisa to get her side of the story? Because for all you know, Doug could have just told you half-truths or one side of the story.
Well, Jonathan, I have a lot of experience, I have a lot of discernment. I could have, in talking to Doug and also with Joni, I could have discerned if he was lying in 5 minutes because I know how to talk to him. And when he said to me, when we were talking, and I asked him question after question after question after question, he answered every question exactly, and he never dishonored Lisa. Never threw under the bus.
But he's a pro. He's like the best of the best when it comes to like dealing with people.
You've dehumanized him.
He wouldn't know what to say, you know?
I'm an object in this world. The world you guys created, Doug's an object. He's not a soul.
Yeah.
He's not a brother in Christ. Yeah. He's not forgiven. He's not the righteousness of Christ. He's an object.
Well, so you have dehumanized him. He's professional. He knew what he was doing and seducing a grieving widow and all that stuff. What I'm saying is
Let's pause and process what just unfolded. It gets emotional. Jonathan Lamb was clearly unburdening pain held in for years. He wasn't just Marcus and Joni's son. He was a man struggling with seeing someone take his dad's place, both on air and in his mother's heart. He questions Doug's sincerity. He describes Doug's answers as rehearsed, too perfect. Jonathan isn't convinced. Even Doug's restraint in not criticizing Lisa seemed calculated. Jonathan suggests that's part of Doug's strategy. Appear gracious, sound holy. It grows more personal. Jonathan describes feeling like a bystander, a faceless figure in all this, not a human, not a son, just a barrier. His pain is obvious. He's grieving. His father, his family's unraveling, and what he sees as a quick replacement. He sought clarity. He even spoke to Lisa. He believes she wanted to keep fighting for the marriage. He feels that if her voice had been heard, things might have gone differently. At this stage, Jonathan's no longer asking, he's revealing. He's saying, I've seen the hidden parts. I know when someone's telling a story they've polished. Let's hear more.
So I have to work with people sitting in front of me and the information I have and the experience I have.
Yeah,
but it all comes down to trust. And, Rachel said this the other day. She said, talking about you, Susie, she said, well, Susie wants to say something and she has a lot more trust in you than anybody else at this table, which was obviously disrespectful. And I don't care. The great thing about being my age is I just don't care. I've got a good quality of life. You can trust my experience and my judgment, or you can't. I'm not going to sell myself, and I'm not going to defend myself. The only thing I'm going to say is this is not the first time or the 30th time.
Yeah, of course, Jimmy. And I know that talking to Lisa could have slowed it down 6 months, but would that have been a bad thing when we're all questioning every single? No, I know, but
That's
every
their concern. They're desperate.
every
to
son
hear
and
Lisa.
daughter. Jimmy, can I
We
finish?
just had was about adult children in a remarriage when there's been a death, and I'm saying I give you grace for your emotions and what you're feeling, but I'm not going through what you're going through, and I've got the experience. I'm saying,
Jimmy?
you can trust and you can submit, or you can keep going through this wrangling, and that's all it is.
We need to process this out.
I'm not going to talk to Lisa. I didn't talk to Lisa, and I'm not going to defend myself on that.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, would it be the worst thing if it slowed down 6 months if every single offspring of these two individuals is questioning the validity of this marriage?
Your view is different.
No.
It's not going to change the Bible verses you quote.
No.
It's not going to change.
Doug Weiss pours out his heart in this segment. He talks about his previous marriage with intensity and sorrow. 30 years of feeling unseen, he says, but listen closely. He blames Lisa fully. He speaks like the only one wounded. He says staying would have meant endless suffering. When Jonathan suggests God could have healed the marriage, Doug rejects it angrily. Doug's pain is real, but he uses it to justify his choices, including his marriage to Johnny. He wants sympathy, yet his narrative feels one-sided. No room for Lisa's truth, and that's concerning. There was no chance, Doug says. Lisa chose not to engage. That's his view. Let me explain, Jonathan. If we argue, even at 3 a.m., he won't sleep until we resolve it. I call it Angry Birds. It fits. He just wants full understanding. That's what he's doing now, not challenging processing. Doug reflects, I've seen broken marriages across the country. Some died right there in my office. Not all wounds heal. Not all prayers end in restoration. Free will can't be overridden. God doesn't force someone to love. You don't get it because you're a good man, but some people choose not to love and they won't change. Counselors pay me thousands to learn how to spot that. I lead a network on it. This wasn't about timing. There was no option left. The marriage was over. If you consider it sinful, I'm forgiven. I'm not living in shame. God is my judge. I gave everything, more than most could. I was relentless in my effort, yet people still judge. They don't see those 36 years I fought for. Apart from family conflict, our relationship is strong. That conclusion really struck a chord. Doug is still healing. His wounds are deep, and his frustration is raw. He feels judged unfairly despite his efforts. But his version leans heavily toward his perspective. It's emotionally charged, it's complex, and it raises a bigger question. How much personal pain should leaders share publicly, and how should they do it? Doug says he deleted the video for Lisa's sake. That proves he knows the impact goes beyond his story. Others are affected, real people, real hurt. This whole exchange reminds us relationships are tough, especially in public view. Just because someone hurts doesn't mean they handle things well. And just because someone is quiet doesn't mean they weren't hurting too. Healing is messy. Forgiveness is hard. And truth, it's rarely simple.